Hello, this is Morel Bernard with the continuing story of an American, Booker T. Washington, the story of the life story of Booker T. Washington and the Tuskegee Institute. Last words were the girls were asked to write composition descriptive of their work in this industry, and this industry, by the way, was the Broom industry and then Mattress, and some of these efforts have been very credible. And here we can have a look at one of the essay or composition that was written. By the way, please subscribe to these videos and channel, and please share the videos. Thank you. The composition, I Am a Nice Large Broom, just made Tuesday by Harriet McRae. Before I was made into a broom, I grew over in a large farm with a great many others of my sisters. One day I was cut down and brought up to the broom-making department and was carefully picked to pieces to get the best straw. I was put in a machine called the winder. Here I was wound very tightly and then put in another machine called the press. I was pressed out flat and sewed tightly. Out of the press I was carried to the clipper, and all of my seed and long ends were cut off. From the cutter I was carried to the threshing machine and combed out thoroughly and put in the barrel for sale. I was sold to the school for 35 cents. He will use me very roughly indoors, and when I begin to get older, I shall be used in sweeping the yards. When I am worn completely out, I shall be pulled to pieces to get my handle, which will be used again to make a fresh, new broom. Classroom work is also made a part of the training in this varied catalogue of industries in successful operation at Tuskegee. Agriculture, basketry, blacksmithing, beekeeping, brick masonry, plastering, brick making, carpentry, carriage trimming, cooking, dairying, agricultural, freehand and mechanical drawing, plain sewing, dressmaking, electrical and steam engineering, founding, harness making, housekeeping, horticulture, canning, laundering, machinery, mattress making, millinery, nurses training, painting, sawmilling, shoemaking, printing, stock raising, tailoring, tinning, and wheel writing. It will be seen that the school is a community into itself, in which buildings can be erected, finished, and furnished. The table supplied the year round, and economic independence achieved in a large measure. But this work is for the benefit of the student, not to make the school self-supporting. Therefore, no one side of his education must be neglected in order that he may be, for the time, a more productive labourer in his department of industry. It would be wronging both him and the system to keep him at the workbench all working hours in order that he might turn out the greatest possible number of shoes, or window sashes, or fruit cans in a week. For example, if you should chance to visit the carpenter shop, you would find a score of young men turning out the finished material for some new building in process of erection, or at the lathes turning out the interior finishings. But in a small room in one corner, having a hard time to be heard above the din of the steam saws, is an instructor with a class of students who are learning to draw up contracts for jobs in carpentry or building. They are not going out with the expectation of always being carpenters at day wages. They should know how to make contracts as boss carpenters, to build houses or repair them, or how to hire other men to build houses for them. Therefore, they learn to draw up specification in both legal and practical form, so that when the occasion arises, they will know how to work with intelligence. Their classroom work in spelling, mathematics, grammar, and English composition comes effectively into play. They find out that a carpenter has small chance of getting ahead unless he can use his head intelligently. He writes out a contract, for example, to put up a 4-room house on a basis of 3 cash payments when he takes the job, when the roof is on, and when the house is turned over to the owner. This contract is read aloud by the instructor, who asks the other members of the class to criticize it. One of them points out a flaw which would allow the owner to crawl out of his bargain on a technicality. Another is pleased to discover that the arithmetic is so faulty that the estimates of the cost of material would land the contractor in the poor house. Then the student begins to see that his so-called academic teaching is as important in his calling as his skill with the plane, the saw, and the mitre box, and that he cannot hope to become a good carpenter unless he is also a diligent scholar. In the winter, an instructor in the agricultural classes may teach its students to familiarize themselves through books with insect pests which infest the peach tree. They are asked to give their own ideas of the borer or the scale, but this information is not allowed to be packed away in the attic of memory, to be forgotten like so much useless lumber. The real examination comes in the spring, not in written papers, but in the school orchard. The same instructor takes a class among the peach trees, and with branches in their hands, they are required to identify the borer and apply to the trees the remedies laid down in their books and lectures. When a new building is to be erected, the school industries join their activities in a common cause. The project sets in motion. First, the wagons to be used in removing the excavated material. The young men in the wheelwright, blacksmithing, and harness making room see their work tested, for they have made and equipped all the heavy farm wagons needed for this hauling. Along with their daily work with the hands, the patterns and instructions had been given them on blackboards and in lectures. They have trained their minds. They have learned handicraft, and the combined results are applied. Their wagons and harness are not to be sent away or put on exhibition. They must stand the strain at home, and if they are faulty, it cannot be hidden. Then come the brick makers, turning out 20,000 bricks a day in the school clins. They know whether they have made good bricks when they see them handled and put into the walls by the student masons. In the course for brick masonry, there is practical demonstration the year round. All the brickwork on the buildings on the school is done by students, under the supervision of the instructors. Plastering and repair work, both inside and outside of the buildings, is in charge of the brick masonry division. The theory is taught in the classroom. The practical test is always close at hand. The brick mason and plasterer has 118 lessons in the fundamental principles of the trade. He is taught how to make estimates on different kinds of work. He has a course in architectural drawing, and he does research work in trade journals. So much for theory. But his diploma of efficient mastery of his trade is built into the walls of the Tuskegee buildings. They show whether he has learned to be a brick mason or whether he has merely learned things about brick masonry. The school sawmill turns out the lumber for the building in course of erection. The instruction in saw milling includes these branches of information. names of machines and their uses, care of machines, defects of timber trees, felling timber trees and loading logs on wagon, measuring lumber and wood, industrial classes, drawing, scaling logs to find their contents in board measure, grading lumber, running planner and other machines, care of bells, saw filing and caring for saws, designing and making cutters for mouldings, calculating speed of pulleys, arrangement of machines and a planning and sawmill. Theory and practice in this department are dovetailed in the finished work in the interior of such a structure as the Carnegie Library or the New College, P. Huntington Memorial Building, where the woodwork, handsomely finished in southern pine, is a product of a school sawmill and planner, the carpenter's shops, and the paint shop. The equipment of the machinery, engineering and foundry department and the courses of study offered are designed to give students a thorough training in their various branches. The machine shop is equipped with the latest machine tools driven by power from an Atlas engine. All the repair work on the mechanical equipment of the school, including steam pumps, steam engines, woodworking machines, printing presses, metal working machines, is done in this shop. About 50 different machines outside of this department, including the complete steam laundry, the agricultural and dairy machinery, are in daily operation, furnishing the best possible demonstration of the theory taught in the classes. In the course for steam engineers, the young men are able to study the working of 11 different steam engines, 7 steam pumps, 12 steam boilers, and a complete waterworks system with miles of piping, valves, gauges, recording apparatus. The instructors lay out the courses in theory and written work, and the mathematical studies are applied in work on blueprint drawings and free hand sketches. A foundry is in daily operation, and here the casting used in repair work for the school are made. When the Tuskegee cotton raising party went to Africa, the castings for the cotton press sent with them were made in the school foundry. In the plumbing and steam fitting division, the tools and shop equipment are ample for training in lead and iron work, for water and steam piping systems in buildings of various kinds. The plumbing and steam fitting in nearby or nearly all the buildings of the Institute were done by the classes of this division. This work includes sinks, bathtubs, steam radiators, lavatories, and sanitary closets. More than 8 miles of piping of various sizes for steam and water are in use on the school grounds, with all the necessary valves, expansion joints, unions, and fittings. The tinsmithing shop turns out nearly every kind of tin work, from covering a house to making a pepper box. The apprentice becomes a first-class tinsmith in 2 years' training. More than 2,000 one-gallon fruit cans were made by the students last year, in addition to many other useful articles. The object of the course in electrical engineering is to give the student a foundation upon which he may build along any special line he may choose later. And incandescent lighting is in use at the school, and there is a complete telephone service connecting most of the buildings and offices through a central station. The students learn not only how to install these systems, but to maintain them in the highest state of efficiency. The dynamos and other electrical machinery for complete powerhouse are in operation for lighting the school buildings and grounds so that the student finds practical work at every turn in his course. He has learned how to build and equip a building. He's taught also how to design it in all its parts. All students in the day and night schools who are in the mechanical department are required to take instructions in mechanical drawing. The work of the first year is largely preparatory. It begins with simple geometrical drawing to accustom the student to the use of instruments and to teach him accuracy and neatness. This is followed by work in projection, which finds application in scale drawing of simple objects. As soon as a fair knowledge of the instrument has been attained with a thorough drill in free-hand sketching, the study of design is carried far enough to secure an understanding of the principles and facility and accuracy in the construction of drawing plans. Strictly speaking, mechanical drawing begins with the second year of trade work, with the study of materials and work in drawings. During the last quarter of the third year, the student learns how to make blue, solar, and black prints. During the fourth year, several excursions are made by the class to the shops, the buildings under construction, the big brickyard, etc. In such excursions, detailed notes must be taken and a satisfactory report submitted upon the things seen and examined. The course of agricultural or architectural drawing covers 3 years and aims to give thorough instruction in drawing, building construction and design. In all cases, the general mechanical and artistic training is supplemented by the course of study in the academic department. On entering the third year of the architectural course, the student, in addition to his regular work, is given actual practice in office training and general superintendence. The student visits also the trade shops and is required to attend classes in heating, electrical lighting, and plumbing. Many of the most satisfactory and imposing buildings of the school were designed in our architectural department. It will be seen from the foregoing survey that the students are able to build and equip a large building from top to bottom, inside and out. And these object lessons of their own handiwork stand clustered over many acres, a city in itself built by young coloured men, most of whom were wholly ignorant of systematic mental or manual training when they asked to be admitted to Tuskegee. They maintain also what may be called the running machinery of the institution. The carpenters learn wood turning and cabinet making. They make the furniture used in the classrooms and dormitories. Their regular division has been so crowded in recent years that it was found necessary to organize an auxiliary division called the repair shop. Here, all the school's repairs in woodwork are done, and the training has proved so valuable that it has been made a separate course of study extending over 3 years. In the blacksmith shop is performed the ironing of carriages, buggies, and wagons, of which 100 are used by the school, in addition to making all kinds of implements and the shoeing of horses. Hundreds of farm implements are repaired here. The student blacksmith is not a mere labourer. He is taught how to run a shop of his own. He learns how to make out bills for material, how to keep shop supplies. And a part of his time is devoted to mechanical drawing and classroom work. Okay, let us stop here, and I will say you're listening to an American, Booker T. Washington's work at the Tuskegee Institute. And so please join me, Morel Bernard, for the continuing story, the life story of Booker T. Washington. Join me for the next video. Join me, please, for the next video. And please subscribe and please share, but join me for the next video. Look forward to seeing you then. Morel said bye for now. Bye.